So our next guest is Miss L.D. Wells. She is an award-winning author, editor, and speaker. And something that she mentioned was that her first published work was being part of an anthology that included writers from Delta Sigma Theta.
Oh.
And then she also participated in the Delta Authors on Tour.
Well, I'm gonna be happy.
Yeah, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight.
It's so good to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I'm excited. I've been watching the entire time, and I've watched some other episodes before now too. And so I'm glad to be in the number of folks who get to say that they got to play with y'all.
Well, we try to
have a good time on the show.
Yeah, we try to make it conversational, fun, and totally, completely stress-free. There's no stress involved at all in being on Black Authors Matter TV. But you were the co-benefactor of the Ruby D Legacy of Sisterhood Endowed Chair Scholarship. So you've been doing quite a bit. Now, do you have what was your most recent book that you published?
My most recent book, I hope maybe you can see it in the
Prayers from a Grateful Heart. That's the one that you.
Yes.
Okay. That's the one that you're showing that you have a.
I'm about to say, don't adjust your screen though, because then we won't be able to see your beautiful face.
Okay.
So if you want to take the book down so we can see the entire cover, you can do that. I just don't want you to move your screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, and we can see the whole thing. Okay, so what led you to write this book, and what's in it? What's inside for the readers?
You know what? This is a story on top of a story. I remember being in church years ago. There's a great church here. I'm in Atlanta.
Okay.
And it's Bishop Bronner's Word of Faith. And I remember him saying on New Year's Eve night, do one thing for God this year, just one thing. And so I left out of that service and I kept saying, what am I gonna do for God? What am I gonna do? And then it finally hit me, you're gonna thank God just for everything that he's already done. Don't ask him for anything, just say thank you every day for 365 days, right? Okay. So I set out and I said, but do it in writing. Like write your prayers out, thanking him, right?
Okay.
And so that's the way it started. It didn't start as a book. It just started as me being true and honest and faithful to what I had promised. And then around August of that same year, I had already cried through all the pages, couldn't read them, all of that emotion on the page and everything. And it hit me. I heard a small voice say, this is your next book. But I'll be honest, I was not obedient. I didn't turn it into a book at that time. Life took over. I got busy. I started doing everything but. And then in 2017, I was hit by a tractor trailer. And that all that was going on, all that busy, that it just stopped. And I had to sit down and deal with me. And give God more of my time and listen and remember what I had promised and what I was told. And so I started trying to turn these, and again, I couldn't read them because I had been crying and slobbering and all of whatever you do when you're writing stuff like that. So I couldn't read the pages and I was trying to turn it into a book and I was getting frustrated. And then I thought to myself, there's no way I'm going to write 365 entries by the end of the year, right? And so
you think you talk yourself out of it?
I was talking myself, you get it. You absolutely get it, right? And so I just prayed one night and I said, God, give me direction. Tell me what you want me to do. And then I woke up and it was as if, and I don't know whether he was speaking that time, whether it was me figuring out or whether the epiphany just came and said, people don't really need 365 pages. They really just need 90.
Okay.
And I went into my office and I sat down and I had, I swear to God, 87 pages already written.
Wow.
So I only needed 3 more. I only needed 3 more to get to 90.
How long did it take you to do those last 3 pages?
Not long at all. And
Oh,
I was
okay.
finished within that week. I finished, I
Wonderful.
wrapped it, because keep in mind, this was December.
Okay. So, you know, a lot of people, well, it seems to be, I won't call it a trend necessarily, but it's more and more common that people are writing short books. Because now if it's a novel, that's a little bit different because that's a story that
Yeah.
you have to create characters and you have to create the peaks and valleys and some kind of drama and some kind of
Mhm.
you know, tipping point in the middle or resolution. And, you know, it has to have a beginning, middle, and ending and all of that. Whereas when you do something that's nonfiction, it's a little different. It's more of a outline formula or what are the points you want to convey within these pages. So, but people are doing short fiction too. So that seems to be something that's growing. There's a market for it, whereas before the market wasn't really developed or people thought that the short stories wouldn't sell, but attention spans are shorter and people are busier. People are very busy. And so
Absolutely.
a lot of
Right.
times they want a quick read, something, you know,
Or
to get-
something that they can put down and then come back to and not feel like they have to go back and reread everything. They can just
Absolutely.
that's true
pick
too.
up where they left
Absolutely.
off.
Absolutely. And I'm an avid devotional. So I took cues from the devotions I had already participated in. And I remember things like I would buy it, say in May, because I loved the way the cover looked, or I liked some of the content when I was browsing through it in the bookstore.
Mhm.
But I'd have to wait until January, or either I'd have to be off track, you know, because the devotional would start January 1, but it's May. So I wanted to make sure that things like that didn't frustrate my readers. So I just start day 1. And you determine what that date is. So the day that you
Right.
pick it up is the
Okay.
day that you could start. Or if you say, I don't want to start until next week, you can wait until then. And then
Okay.
also with the devotionals, you start off and you want to really give it your all. You really want to do, you know, what it is, you know, have that time in front of God. And then you say, this is too long. You know, this 3 pages, I got to get ready to go. I don't have time now to put the clothes on, to do my makeup, or whatever it was when we were going out into the world every day. And so I have tiny nuggets. I like to call them nuggets. And that way you don't feel overwhelmed after you've gotten into it and it's become a day-to-day journey for you. So it starts off kind of global, you know, a lot of the languages, us, we, our. And then I change it as you move down the page and it becomes more personal. And so by the end of it, it's a mantra, a one-liner at the bottom of the page that you're going to say, that you're speaking that almost like a manifestation out into the world, out into the universe. And again, you can do it just in a couple of minutes. We're not going to take all of your time that morning. And so I think that it's okay to say, God, I'm busy, but I still want to honor.
Amen.
And as my grandmama used to say, it don't take all day long to do that.
Yes, the Busy Woman's Bible. I mean, I think that might have to be my next book.
That's a good title.
There you go.
That's a good title. And you know, titles can't be copyrighted. So if somebody else, you know, thinks they can use it, you know, that doesn't mean it's going to be as good as yours, you know.
Well, I should have copywritten my first book title. You know,
But
somebody
you can't copyright a title.
I know. I said I wish I could have though.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
somebody went and wrote a book and gave it the same name as my book. I'll go looking for my book on Amazon, and there's somebody else's book with the same
Oh,
title.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that happened for me with the Genesis Files. But you know, when I think of a title, one thing I don't do is I don't look to see if there's another book with that title, because it came out of here. It came out of here.
Yeah.
I'm not plagiarizing. I'm not copying anybody. I'm not even gonna look, because it can't be copyrighted anyway. So I don't want to even know about it. And when my book comes out, I'm going to be talking about it from my vantage point and
Absolutely.
promoting it
You know,
myself.
you remember Cameron Hall mentioned that in our interview on Saturday, what was that, Saturday, when she said that her mom thought she made up the name Tamron, and then there was a white lady across the country who thought she made up the name Tamron, and they both were named Cameron Hall.
I mean, but you got, that was the key there. You said you're not plagiarizing. This is the word that God gave to me. So this one,
Right.
this particular one is mine.
Right, exactly. You know, it came
exactly.
from here, so it's not possible that I plagiarized anything because it came from here. I didn't see what anybody else said about this particular thing. And now that doesn't mean you don't get ideas from writers, because I don't mean about content. I mean just, you know, flow, or sometimes it's the way a person writes that can capture your attention. Some people are really, really great at just details, creative details about scenes and people, and I get something from that just in terms of the way they do it, but not the content overall. So you have a foreword by someone, and I can't see exactly who that is. It's William, is it William
Holmes
Robinson?
Reverend Dr. William Holmes Robinson.
Okay.
And he's a minister here out of Atlanta as well. I spent time, I'm kind of churchy. I'll go ahead and admit that off the rip.
I'm a PK,
I
so
spent about,
I'm churchy too.
you churchy too. I'm at home with y'all.
Yes, I'm a PK, so I tell people,
You win.
Yeah,
You win. That's ultimate church.
And I've
But
seen the other side. I've seen the street too, and so it was very brief. And what I learned from that was I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Well, it probably gave you some good fodder for a book, though.
It gave me some good information for my daughter to tell her about, you know, so you don't even need to venture off in that. I can tell you, I did a little venturing. You need to stay away from that. But
yeah, for about 5 years here in Atlanta, I worked for a church, and he was the pastor of that church.
Okay.
And
and then you asked him to do your forward.
Yeah, so
That's
dear
nice.
friends, still he and his family, his wife, all of them are very dear and near to my heart, always will be. And so I couldn't think of anybody else better to have to write the forward for that book.
Okay, now you're a native of Atlanta?
I am. I'm a Georgia peach. I'm born and raised. I'm what they call a Grady baby. I don't know if y'all heard that term.
A hospital.
No, what is that? I haven't heard of that.
Hospital.
Grady Memorial Hospital is
Okay.
It's the trauma center here in Atlanta today. It's very different than I'm not telling my age because I think on camera I might look younger than I actually am. But back then, you know, that was kind of where Black people had their children.
Right.
Okay.
Isn't it still open as a public hospital?
It is.
Okay, that's what I thought. So
Yeah,
yeah,
my daughter lives in Atlanta.
Yeah, I think all cities with a substantial Black population had a Black hospital that the Black people went to back in the day.
The one in New Orleans is closed down though.
Yeah, some of them, like the one in my hometown, I think they turned it into, they expanded it. They put some money behind it and turned it into something else, I think. And the one in Houston closed. There used to be one in Houston. I forgot the name of it now because I wasn't living in Houston. Well, I was long time ago when, you know, I had in another life when I had a different business. That was one of my clients. What was it? I should remember that, but that's been a while back. It wasn't Whitaker. Whitaker was the one in my hometown, but I can't. It's just the name's not coming to me right now. But yeah, I think that was because Black people couldn't go to the white hospital, you know. So we had our own hospitals, and then, you know, that's some lost information that I don't know if the later generations even realize that, you know.
Yeah,
I don't. That's I don't know if they even realize that it occurred, that we couldn't go to the white hospital, you know, and so
I think when I was coming through, you know, like I have schoolmates, classmates, they were born in other hospitals, could be born and what have you. But for the places where I grew up and in the area that I was raised in, it was just kind of understood that was where you would go.
Yeah, that's how it was in New Orleans before Charity Hospital closed down. So I do understand. But I did want to ask you though, because I was looking at your book was released in 2017. And you received the 2016 Best Publication in Print from the Writers Ball? What is the Writers Ball?
So the Writers Ball is a event that's held here in Atlanta to honor women and artists who are kind of at what they consider the top of their game. And now that award was actually for my first book, which is an anthology. It's called An Anthology of Sisterhood. It
Yes.
was written prior to this particular book. And that's the one that had the foreword by Ruby Dee.
Okay.
It was actually written in commemoration of Delta Sigma Theta turning 100 years old. And we wanted to go back and do something that honored the 22 founders. And so we found, my line sister and I found 20 other members of the sorority. So you had to be a Delta in order to write in the anthology, but you couldn't just write about Delta, right?
Right.
Membership has
I've
its
heard about that
privileges.
book.
Okay.
Yeah, so we wanted you to cover the topic. So we've got all kinds of stories in there about sisterhood, wherever it may come. And so, you know, people wrote about cancer and the sisterhood that's formed when you survive something like that together. You know, they wrote about, I have a line sister who's an author in the book too, who wrote about her brother being the first that she knew of sisterhood. And I thought that was an interesting twist on sisterhood. And then of course I wrote poems to my baby sister who's not Greek, did not pledge anything at all, but she was the first that I knew of sisterhood. And then we talk about the sisterhood of the saints and how you become sisters in the spirit and sisters at church. And so we really tried to cover the topic. We submitted what we had written to Ruby Dee. And I think it's actually one of the last things that she did was agree to write the foreword for our book. And then she also included one of her poems in our collection as well. And so we've been touring with that for many years. We've gotten a lot of awards around that. And we've used the proceeds for that particular book to create a scholarship in her legacy. Her family participates with us every year. It's awarded to an African-American female who is majoring in the humanities. And so we get those applications in through the Delta Research and Education Foundation. They handle all of the scholarship for us. They send us the packets of information each year with the applicants in it. We pick the top few out of the collection of names that are given and packets that are given. And then the family, Ruby Dee's family, actually has the honor every year of naming the winner for that scholarship. And so that's one of the things I've done that I know I made my mama proud.
So was Ruby Dee a Delta?
She was, absolutely.
Oh,
And you can
okay.
ask for
Was
anybody
she-
better to be your
No, you
to
wouldn't.
write the forward. That's a wonderful choice.
Yeah, I remember calling her up. We had a connection. There was one of the authors in the book worked in the same school system with Ruby Dee's daughter. And we were like, that sounds like a connection. Let's see if we can work that connection.
Yes.
And so she did get us in touch with the family, but they initially said no. You know, they just kind of said, you know, mom is really kind of not doing that kind of thing anymore. She doesn't really want to. And I sat there and I thought to myself, listen, they on the phone. I'm not getting ready to hang up. I'm gonna just keep talking until they, you know, say something.
They're probably like, just write this thing so this woman can leave us alone.
Absolutely. And even if that's what it was, we'll take it. But no, they have been amazing. They've been wonderful. And they said to us, you know, before she passed away, we said, what can we do? I imagine she has everything, but how can we thank her, you know, for kind of co-signing the project in this way? And they said, she wants you to know that if someone asks you to do something, say yes, pay it forward the same way she paid it forward with you.
Wonderful.
Oh,
Beautiful.
that was beautiful.
Yeah, so it's been wonderful.
So now, what do you plan to do next?
So I've got several books. I think I've got a screenplay in there somewhere. My major was I'm an English major from the University of Georgia. And so, you know, I was that kid that walked around with a journal when I was a kid. I still have a journal. I've got a lot of stories. I've got things in my mind. I've got movies I want to write. I've just got to figure out how to navigate, because right now I'm working in communications. I'm the communications officer for my agency. And as you can imagine, with the pandemic, it has not been slow.
Right.
We've had quite a bit that we've had to communicate both to internal and external partners. And so I don't know, at some point, I don't know whether it would be retirement or me just leaping and jumping and becoming a writer full time. I've got to figure out what those next steps are, because I've got to get all of these things that are in my heart and in my spirit out and on paper and into the universe.
Well, I like what you're doing. You know, I was about to say earlier, my daughter is in Atlanta. She's a senior at Clark Atlanta University.
Oh, wow.
And she told me something very profound today, because she's about to start her workout journey. And she said that she saw a video that said that when we don't do what we say we're going to do, we're breaking promises to ourselves. And we can't expect other people to keep promises to us if we don't keep promises to ourselves. And so she said, I want to start working out and I want to start my journey. So I'm going to do it because that's something I promised myself. And I said, that's very profound. And I think that's probably what you needed to keep going. So maybe this is that same moment for you. You've told yourself this is what you want to do. Yeah. And now it's just time to do it.
It's time to leap, isn't it? Time to jump.
Yes.
If your daughter ever needs anything, we can talk offline. I'm here and I'd be happy to help her.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Well, the thing about writing that's different from the music industry is you can be older and write. I mean, you can write into your 80s or even further if your mind's still right, and even if you can't, like, let's say your vision was impaired, you can use recording. You can use a recording device. A lot of people do that anyway. They, they record their books. And then they have somebody transcribe them, or they do it themselves, or
technology is a beautiful
kinds of ways.
Yeah, I've got to get a recorder. I used to have one in college, and I think that's the way to go, or maybe just use one on my phone. I don't know how much memory there is, but I get my best ideas, and I got to ask God about this when I get to the pearly gates. But I don't know why He gives me my inspiration at 3:00 in the morning.
Well,
I get the best inspiration. Listen, I get all kind of, I'm absolutely ready in my mind at 3 a.m. And then I've got to figure out when I wake up or get up, okay, now what was that again?
Some people put a pad next to their bed. I've heard people say that too. So if they wake up and have an idea, they can write it down. Or like if you have a dream, and it could be, the dream could work in a novel. You can, if you can remember details when you wake up. A lot of times when you wake up, you can't really remember all the details. They fade.
I know this is my path because I dream in color. I don't know about other people, but I dream in vivid color.
I think I do. I don't even know. To be honest, I don't think about it like that. I just think about what happened.
Wait, do you research your dreams to find out if I dreamed about this, what does it mean?
I do that sometimes if I dream about something.
I haven't so far. The only thing I did, one time some years ago, and this happened years ago, but somebody had told me this years ago that if you dream a number, play it. And I don't play numbers and I don't gamble, but I did dream a number one night. And that was when I lived in DC, and I played it and it hit. I just wish I had put more money on it. I didn't know if that, I didn't know. That was weird, but I dreamed. It didn't hit the next day because, you can play a number for a week. It hit like 3 days later. That number hit 3 days later. But I only put, at the time, I only put a small amount on it. I wish I had.
I've never played, so I have no idea.
That was the only time I played. When I dreamed the number, because somebody told me if you dream a number, play it. So
okay.
That was it.
Okay.
So your next book that you're working on, or that you think you might be working on, will it be along the similar lines? Will it be a faith-based book? Or
no. This one is it's partially, story of things that have happened in my life.
Oh, like a memoir.
It's kind of a memoir, but I need to keep some people innocent in it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You gotta change the names to protect the innocent or the guilty.
There you go.
Characters, throw a little bit of extra in there. I understand.
You get it. But yeah, there's some things that have you ever had episodes that happen in your life where you say, I must be a writer because this is happening for a reason. This has to be happening for a reason. And so I've got some stories, and people who are really close to me know that they have actually urged me, they need to be on paper and maybe even be in the movie. So yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
gonna sit down
some
and
of
pour all
them
that
I
out.
put in a novel and just have it as a character and not like nonfiction, because I just want people to think that it's just a character in this novel. It's not based
Right.
on any real person.
Absolutely.
But you can you can write a character based, I think a lot of characters, they could be specific people or similar, inspired by specific people, or an amalgam. It can be like a combination of more than one person, uh and some of their personality traits, or some things, the bizarre things that happened to them or that
Right.
they did. You can do, I still have some scenes I need to put in some future novels.
I see your mind just going, and
I
I
know,
got some
because
stories
her
to
mind is
tell
going
too.
now. She's gonna start
Yeah,
writing as soon as we get off the call. Watch.
I'm a writer,
But
and I need to participate in NaNoWriMo again so I
I
can
know I
finish my
do. I
book.
do.
So I
Well,
can finish my novel.
unfortunately, it is, well, 8:58 for you and me. It's 7:58 for Gwen, which means we have a couple of minutes left. So I would love it if you could just remind us where we could find your book, how we can get in touch with you.
Okay, so my books are Prayers from a Grateful Heart and an anthology of sisterhood. They are both available at all of your major outlets: Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, Amazon, Walmart, and then also, of course, on ldwells.com. And I am on social media on all platforms at I am LD Wells.
Okay.
Okay. And
Well,
you
I am
had
putting your
someone
website in the chat.
someone
Um,
named Trey Johnson. Say hello.
Hi, what's the name again?
Trey, I think
Johnson, he says
TRAE Johnson.
Hey,
ADHD.
Trey.
He wants to know, how can we be cool like you?
Oh, wow, he thinks I'm cool. Tell him I just come to life when I'm around other cool people. That's all it is.
That's a good answer. Okay, well, thank you so much for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV, and continue success with your work and your book. That's really great that an older publication continues to be relevant to people, and that you all are
Yes.
able to make that project something that can really continue to help aspiring or college-bound students.
Yes, it's a blessing, and I know it was ordained. So we're grateful.
Okay, well,
Thank you
thank you
so
so
much.
much for being a guest on the show, and continue success for the rest of the year and for 2022.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You're
Thank you. You
welcome.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.